The Umbrella Academy hit Netflix a few days ago, and everybody's been talking about it. It's a take on an American comic book series, and it's a refreshing change to all of the superhero movies and shows that we've seen so far. It's the twist that Netflix took by cancelling Daredevil and many other much-loved superhero shows worth the gamble if it means investing more in shows like the Umbrella Academy? Well, in this video, I'll be discussing just how good or bad this show actually is, without spoilers. So, let's find out. Before I go ahead, make sure you go over to my Twitter, @BrainPilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. So without further ado, I'm BrainPilot, and here is a review of the Umbrella Academy. Before I start, comment down below what power or special ability that the team have that you'd want. The story. The story that you follow throughout this TV series is extremely interesting, and although not 100% original, it somewhat feels it. With kids that were born on the same day, each having different powers, their main objective is to be able to save the world from the apocalypse that's pending and is set to hit in around 7 days. This is known because of number 5. This is all whilst trying to rebuild the family's relationship, seeing as though they walked away from the academy, all but one. As the story unravels and the plot thickens, it only gets more and more interesting. This is due to learning more about the characters and seeing all of the action that occurs. Although I don't think the show is designed to pull on your heartstrings, I feel as though it does at points. I would say that there are a few elements of the story that I thought were somewhat predictable. I won't give too much away, but I think the journey that the character number 7 goes on was easy to see from the start. One element that I did like was the way that there was a romance within the family. Obviously, these children aren't biologically connected, so of course, in reality, maybe this would actually happen. Although they're given the title as siblings, they obviously aren't connected through blood, so I quite like that touch of the romance. The way that the show approached jumping through space and time was delivered across the screen in a way that was easy to understand, and made it look businesslike. It was an interesting way of portraying it. Travelling through time looked enjoyable and difficult to just be able to do. It looked like a privilege that you had to earn. Not at one point would I say that the story felt like it needed to be told quicker or be explained more. I thought that the show did well in keeping the viewer engaged and constantly wondering what was going to happen next. There's action, drama, suspense, and it's extremely entertaining to follow. Personally, I think the way that the story is told through the use of comedy at points, and getting to know each of the characters individually through time, put a twist on this show compared to something like The Defenders. It didn't feel like your stereotypical superhero TV show. When the story was approaching the ending, I thought the season finished in the best way it possibly could. It leaves it extremely open for a second season, in the most open way possible, and it doesn't give any clues as to what's in store for the family. However, it's open to all possibilities. Literally. So that's something I'm looking forward to seeing. Overall, I would say that the story stands up with all of the other superhero shows that we've seen before on the platform. I would even go as far to say that it's up there with the storylines that Daredevil produced. However, I wouldn't go into this show expecting to see an Avengers type, superhero frenzy, villain fighting, power showing showcase. Go into it expecting to see a decent story with some comedy, action, and suspense. The characters. The cast and characters in this show were extremely well chosen, and in all honesty, I don't feel as though there was a weak link in any of them. You form stronger connections with some compared to others, but that's expected. I found myself not liking number 7 that much, especially towards the end, and I found myself gravitating towards number 4 and number 5 the most. It was interesting to see number 4, which is Klaus in this show, as in the UK TV series Misfits, he played a similar role, and it was good to see how he brought elements of the character Nathan into this one. I would say that Klaus goes on the biggest journey in terms of character development, and when he's on screen, you know that you're in for a surprise and it's going to be hilarious. I would most definitely say that number 5 was the best character in the show. The performance by the 15-year-old actor was fantastic. Not once did you feel as though this was a child on screen. You believed his character and that it was actually an adult in a child's body. It was brilliant. He ventures through time and his attitude towards everybody is what makes his character what he is. The two hitmen type characters, Cha-Cha and Hazel, were always entertaining to watch when they were on screen. They were almost like a comedy double act. It takes a while to understand their motives and really gauge a true understanding of their characters, but when you do, I'll say you like one and you don't like the other. A character that I found myself always enjoying when on screen, and even just listening to the sound of their voice, was the character Pogo. I don't really know what he brought to the show specifically, but I found myself just enjoying watching his character. And I got the Alfred type vibe from his character as well. The CGI is always something that I'm skeptical of, but I don't think it was that bad to be honest. There was one point where I thought it didn't look that great when he was talking to the mother, but other than that, it's generally not too bad. Each of the powers that the characters had weren't necessarily your stereotypical superhero powers. Some were, but some were more special abilities opposed to powers. And I didn't mind that. It made them feel a little bit more ordinary. The soundtrack. The soundtrack in this show is something that most definitely has to be spoken about. There were many moments in this TV show where I thought that it was rivaling Guardians of the Galaxy, and I would say it ultimately ended up topping it. Playing songs at points that don't necessarily suit the moment, but when they're played actually fit perfectly. That's something that happened a lot in this show. It's always refreshing to see when a show like this chooses to have a compilation of songs as well as a score behind it. Final thoughts. Overall, I would say that The Umbrella Academy is one of the best 10 hours that I've spent on Netflix for a while. It seems a bit deliberate that we're getting a superhero show as Netflix are cancelling all of their Marvel ones. However, I feel as though this show will be a good replacement. It's not filling the space of the Marvel shows, but I'd say that it's opened a new door for superhero shows to go down. The way that it's shot and some of the humour that was involved reminded me a little of the Netflix show A Series of Unfortunate Events, but that was the only similarity there. I'd say go and watch the show and you won't regret it. It's an enjoyable 10 hours and you'll meet some new heroes and form a connection with them. Go and watch it now. As I said, don't expect your stereotypical superhero show. Expect something a little bit different. Go in with an open mind and expect something a little bit different. If you want to see what I've rated many TV shows and movies, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. Comment a movie and I'll rate it over there. Over on the community page, I've started releasing polls. Have a vote and have your say in what videos you see on this channel. As well, if you want to support the channel in a different way, then I've recently set up a Patreon. Over there, you can get your hands on some exclusive content. Take a look and see what you think. What do you think of the Umbrella Academy? What power would you like to have? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.